It would be easy to enjoy the life we have built here in Brampton, and just keep my head down. But when I wake up and I think about those moments that changed my life and the responsibility I have to my children and to each of you, I know I need to keep on fighting. So many of you are tired and frustrated, and our nation needs to heal. We've all suffered the cost of 2 years of lost freedoms and a government that has weaponized our fears and our divisions to cling to power. We deserve a future where no matter what part of the country we live in, we can get a good paying job. We deserve a country where every region and province can succeed. We deserve a country where we are free to express our religion without fear of getting fired.
There are now 5 contenders in the federal Conservative leadership race. Brampton's mayor and former Ontario PC party leader, who you just heard from, Patrick Brown. He launched his campaign this past weekend. That was yesterday. Former Quebec Premier Jean Charest also threw his hat into the ring, along with MPs Pierre Paulevs, Leslyn Lewis, and independent MPP Roman Baber. Some high-profile names already making some pretty big promises. So, who stands out? Who can unite the Conservative Party of Canada, and who can beat Justin Trudeau? Joining us with analysis are Conservative strategists Andrew Brander from Crestview Strategy and Kate Harrison from Summa Strategies Canada. Thank you both for joining us. Andrew, let's begin with Patrick Brown. He's promised to rebuild trust with Canada's cultural communities. Right out of the gate, he blasted Pierre Poilievre, accused him of supporting the niqab ban, pretty controversial back in 2015. What did you make of his speech and his comments?
Well, I think Patrick Brown is probably the most familiar face to most of your viewers. Of course, you guys carry his press conference every week here on CP24, and he'll be a trusted, familiar face to a lot of Conservatives who look at the way he's handled himself over the past 2 years throughout the pandemic. And really proven himself as a demonstrated leader in that capacity. And you know, when we talk about the fact that Patrick's come out swinging,
right.
I do think that the stakes are high. This is a very serious job. We have serious candidates coming to the table, and quite frankly, I think that's a reflection of what he's hearing from Conservative Party members who are frustrated after losing a campaign to a prime minister that flew around the country dividing Canadians. So I think this is really speaking to what Conservative Party members want to see. They want to see a fighter. That's why he's incorporated that into his slogan. It's very smart strategically to take that angle. I think a lot of Conservatives are frustrated and they want someone who's going to take on Trudeau. Right.
Interesting to see him attack the Harper government like that. Maybe that move did hurt the Conservatives. Kate, let's talk about Pierre Poilievre now, because he's often referred to as the front runner in this race. He fired back after Brown's comments yesterday. He released a statement today that says, quote, Patrick Brown is lying in his attacks on the Harper government. So no doubt this race is heating up. Is this kind of division good for the party, though? What do you think?
I don't think it's necessarily great for the party, but I'm also not surprised to see things evolve this way so quickly. There are a lot, the stakes are very high, as Andrew points out. You've kind of got this perfect storm brewing where you've got a bunch of kind of legacy scores to settle amongst the various teams. You have established politicians in this race. People are coming to this as no names. You have real, credible contenders here that have track records, frankly, that can be picked apart. And you've got a real shot at forming government next time. And I think a lot of what the challenge has been for Conservatives has been in translating that frustration and that sentiment that they have felt for some time under Justin Trudeau's leadership in Canada into a vision that people want to vote for. And I think that that's really a lot of the challenge right now is everybody's focused on criticizing one another, so far haven't seen a lot of that forward vision. Now, it's a long campaign. I think those attacks can only go so long. So
Right.
as a Conservative member, I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to put out there that actually brings new voters into the party and recruits more people to vote Conservative, rather than just the sniping from the sidelines that's going on right now.
For sure. You talked about credible contenders, so let's talk about Jean Charest. He has lots of experience as a politician, Kate. He is a former Liberal Quebec premier, though. Is that too much baggage for the party?
I think it may prove to be the biggest challenge that Charest has to face. Now, yes, he has that track record. He has not been a contemporary member of the Conservative Party. And I think that that's really the difference between his candidacy and Patrick Brown and Pierre Paulevs. Now, that comes with a fair bit of establishment background. He can talk quite a bit about his successes in Quebec politics. That's also been a province like Ontario where Conservatives have failed to make inroads in the last few elections. So that shouldn't be discounted. And I think that he's going to have to do a fair bit of legwork, frankly, in terms of trying to connect with today's voters. Social media would be a good example. He only just stood up a Twitter account and an Instagram account when he launched his campaign. So there's a lot of legwork that needs to go into that. But he is a very charming politician, an experienced politician, and I think it would be a mistake to underestimate him at this stage.
I've heard both of you talk about how important this race is. Andrew, the party we know is struggling to define itself. What is on the line in this leadership race? Is it the party's identity? Is it the future of the Conservative Party of Canada? What is at stake?
I think it's a bit of both of that, but I think what Conservative Party members want to hear is that it's the future of Canada that's at stake. Look, whoever the next Conservative leader is, we know is going to be within striking distance of forming the next government. And so we really need to make sure that whoever that is, presents a clear vision to Canadians. And what I love about this leadership race so far, yes, people can say it's divisive and whatever, but these are all very unique individual candidates who have very different visions for what they want to present to Canadians. So the length of the leadership race has been established as such that it will give each one of them a chance to fly around the country and sell their case to Canadians. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to Conservative Party members to decide which course they want to follow.
Is having different visions for the country a good thing? I don't know. I do want to ask you, though, about tension within the party. No doubt it's there. Let's talk about some of the most contentious issues. What do you think they will be? Will it be the carbon tax, Bill 21, gun laws? What do you think, Andrew?
I think they all have records on all of these of these items, and that's going to be a complicating factor for a lot of them to answer. As we saw, Patrick Brown off the start with the leadership was a candidate in the Ontario PCs who supported a carbon tax. Then he reversed his position. Now he's kind of saying it's up to the members. That's going to be a challenge for him. It's going to be a challenge for Mr. Charest, who has a record on it, as well as, it's going to be a problem for Pierre to answer, because there are a lot of Conservatives who are looking at issues like that and saying, we need to do better as Conservatives. We need to present a credible climate change plan. And clearly some of them are boxed in like Pierre and saying there will absolutely be no carbon tax. So we're going to be watching very closely in terms of what kind of policies he's putting forward to address the climate in a critical way.
And maybe the issue the last time was that Erin O'Toole flip-flopped on so many of these issues. So, Kate, I'll ask you the same question. What do you think the most contentious issues will be for these leaders? They're already disagreeing on a lot of them.
I think that this is a little bit broader than that. I actually think this is about whether or not the Conservative Party is the right vehicle to move forward change and conservative thought in Canada. There has been so little attention paid to kind of the state of the conservative movement in this country, how we're going to build it, how we're going to make it better. And I think that it's a really good opportunity for those that are putting their name forward to, yes, talk about the kind of issues of the day, be that energy, environment, politics, healthcare should absolutely be on the agenda given everything that's happened with the pandemic. But I think conservative voters want to know what can we expect under the leadership of various candidates for conservatism in Canada. It's been a little bit lost for some time. And I think that to Andrew's point, there's a lot of different visions about how that looks Is it a more populist route? Is it a more establishment conservative principles route? Is it something else? And I think that that's the debate a lot of conservatives are keen to see unfold and settle. And that way we know what we're going to lead with heading into the next election.
And Kate, you know, we know that the party will pick their leader, but Canadians ultimately pick their next prime minister, right? So if the Conservatives want to be more than just the opposition, what kind of leader do you think they need?
They need to absolutely talk about how they're going to bring new voters into the party. Everybody says they're going to do it when they're running. I think people want to see a plan for how it's done. And credit to Patrick Brown, this is probably going to be the strongest point of his candidacy. Is he was successful in doing that as Ontario PC leader, obviously had success in doing that when he was mayor of Brampton. Can he translate that into broader movement across the country, not just in Ontario? And can we surpass this idea that COVID fatigue is going to define the Conservative Party? Pierre Paulevs is doing a great job of tapping into the sentiment a lot of Conservatives are feeling right now, that frustration. What will that look like when COVID is in the rearview mirror? What are we going to get people to vote for as opposed to what they're voting against? I think that's the challenge for him, and that's what a lot of Conservatives will want to see answered over the course of the next 6 months.
Yeah, some really important questions there. Andrew Brander and Kate Harrison, Conservative strategists, thank you so much for your time.